So, March is, what is it, International Women's Month? Is that what it is?
Well, there's an International Women's Day, but they use the entire month of March to actually like celebrate the contributions of women in just various.
That's fantastic.
I love it. It's pretty cool.
I appreciate giving a month as opposed to just a single day.
Yeah.
It's that time again. It's Learning Happy Hour with Mitch and Jason. BYOB and bring your own brain. Cheers.
All right, so what are you going to talk to us about today?
I want to talk about social engineering today. I know there's logic centers in our brain that shut down when we start to trust someone. And so, like, if you come up and build rapport with someone, it's a lot easier to start sourcing some of that information.
So you build confidence. Oh, that's why they call it con or confidence then. How do they do it on computers then? If we're not talking, and how do I build your confidence in me using a computer?
Easiest targets are things like public Facebook profiles because all your information is out there for the world to see. So you could look at things like, oh, I see you like, Fall Out Boy, and you like cats, and you like wine, and so...
That's a fun weekend right there.
That is a good weekend. That's the best weekend, period. What you can do is you can do stuff like, oh, hey, I'm really into wine, or I have this wine group, do you want to check it out? So you're building up rapport again.
So you join a network of people, act like you have a common interest, whether you do or don't.
A common friend even. Well, my favorite, because this is absolutely the one that you would use like in preschool, like toys or like get out of trouble.
I love you.
Not even that. Just being charismatic is actually kind of a form of social engineering. Now
we don't know anyone who's charismatic.
No, who's charismatic? It's overrated. No one's charismatic. Yeah. So being charismatic is actually kind of it's one that you should be extra suspicious of. Not
nice people.
Overly nice people.
You are in the green.
It's really close.
All right, here comes the red. Hiya!
I mean, black is almost red.
Black is all colors.
That's fair. So I mean, it kind
which includes red.
It does include red.
When we're talking ink.
Yes.
Not light.
So yeah, my favorite one in preschool was I'm that person that's always everyone's friend. Even when I compete in my sport, I would sit back there before the match and I would become friends with them and they would let their guard down because I would be nice and like, oh, she's so sweet. She's not going to be mean when we fight, and I'd be a monster.
You need to explain that.
Okay, so doing any kind of combat sport, there's always this whole like.
No.
Oh.
You need to explain what you do so they're not
I do
taking your.
Taekwondo,
Yes.
so they're not like, are you just out like beating up people? No.
She's a street fighter.
I am, just secretly. It's my side job. Mitch's is putting holes in the wall. That's his side job.
I think they had to increase the size.
I think they did, because they probably started getting like.
Right, well, I've seen the holes up there.
Oh wow. So yeah, I do martial arts, and so there's like a competition aspect, and it's always an individual, you versus another person.
Yeah.
And you see who that person is, you see him on the bracket, so all day you're kind of like, oh my gosh, I have to fight this person. Who's this person? You're like Googling them, trying to social engineer, trying to see if there's videos on YouTube. I'm
You're
that
a
person. No, I'm not a stalker. I'm just thorough, and I want to know what's happening. So you get on YouTube, you're looking for fights and all that stuff, and so.
Wait, so people put? What do you mean YouTube looking for fights?
So people will post their videos on YouTube because they're trying to get sponsors
or
of them fighting. So you can see what their normal strategies are, and you can formulate a game plan.
So if you like to do a reverse double hook under bucket,
yes.
Yeah, and I see you pull that move all the time, then I'll just do the counter,
exactly,
which is a cartwheel, I think.
It's totally cartwheel.
Yeah.
So you basically are creating a situation where you have all this information available out there on the internet, and I don't think a lot of people think about that because we overshare all the time.
Always.
So what I would do is I would go in my matches, and you're sitting in what's called the holding area, and it's you and the person. You're all geared up. One of you's red, one of you's blue, and so I'd be like, "Hey, I'm Ashley," and I would start being super nice, and we would build this whole conversation. We'd be like best friends, and then go out there, and I'd be an animal. And they weren't expecting it because like she's so sweet. She totally like is going to be all easy in the fight, and they let their guard down. Don't share that. No, I'm kidding. I don't compete anymore, so no one has to know. But yeah, I definitely have.
You must be almost right.
Almost, I was real close.
That's awesome.
Real close.
Good for you.
So it was pretty cool. It was fun. I have too many injuries now. Like I can't. It's not sustainable. I'm old in Taekwondo years, 20 years of age.
Jason looks like Charlie
He looks
Day.
exactly like. I legitimately was like, is this what Charlie Day is doing when he's not on the show?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So there are times where I very, very much feel like, you know what, the internet's a little scary. I just got back from DEFCON. I'm going to read this book and not connect anything to the internet because everything can...
You go to DEFCON.
Yeah.
You're a pen tester.
Uh-huh.
You're a social engineer. Right, ladies and gentlemen, this is my best friend, badass Ashley right there. I just want to say, like, there are certain stereotypes, and the one I'm thinking of right now is that women can't do the same thing men do. Men do. And it's complete buckus. So as a friend, as a colleague, and as a cybersecurity admirer, thank you for what you do. And thank you, women. Keep it up.
So I'm here with Jovita Alphonse. She is the Director of Cyber Threat Intelligence for Nike. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, great. And so she and I are friends, and I thought it would be great to kind of pick her brain a little bit and get her kind of take on cybersecurity and her career and learn a little bit about, your journey, what brought you to where you are now.
Sure.
So I have a couple of questions. So the first one is, what is your role exactly at Nike? What does a director of cyber threat intelligence mean?
Sure. I lead a team of cyber threat intelligence analysts. And essentially our work is to look externally, look at potential threats and risks that can potentially impact Nike. So we have a very externally facing focus where we're looking at potential vulnerabilities that might impact our environment or threats that might impact our environment. And our role is to get all that information, curate that, analyze it, and make sure that it gets received or it's delivered to our internal stakeholders so that we can take appropriate action.
So what's your favorite thing about your job?
I guess I would say no 2 days are the same. The threat landscape is constantly evolving. There is always a very innovative way that attackers or cyber criminals are finding ways into an organization. And so I think just really being able to be vigilant, but also try to get 2 steps ahead of what these attacks could be. I think it's fascinating. It involves a lot of, I think, innovative ways to work. It's not just about technology. It's also people,
right.
In terms of how do you communicate in a way that resonates, that provides people with what they want to know without really getting them so scared where they don't want anything to do with it. It's a fine balance.
So let's talk about you for a moment. Just a couple more questions. Yeah. So what motivates you personally in terms of your job and career, or both?
Yeah. So I just moved into the director role in November, and I was a senior analyst in the team for. Right now, my main role is to lead a team, and so that's for me is to work with the team and for us to collectively drive the intelligence agenda forward. And so really, again, with most of these functions, it is a maturity level. You have sort of like a baseline where you start and establishing all the fundamentals. And then it's really moving up the maturity chain so we can actually be in service of the organization. So while our role is very external focused, we're looking outside in order to really get filtered and focused intelligence to the right people at the right time. We need to have a really good understanding of our organizations that are growing and evolving every day as well. So it's exciting for me to be able to, establish strategy, work on executing that for the team and really showcasing the talent that we have within our teams. So that's fun.
Who are some of the people that inspired you, especially the women in your life?
I'd say when I look at it, it's both men and women that have been inspiration to me. I work for a sports and fitness company. It's not short of inspiration.
They're the Just Do It company.
They Just Do It, and yes, we have athletes, but it's the everyday people that essentially have to battle so many problems, but make it through just from sheer grit and resilience. I just really look up to those individual stories that my company, Nike, does a great job of showcasing on a day-to-day basis. It's not an easy jump to go from one subject matter area to another.
Right.
But it's the possibilities are, if you show, I think, interest and commitment and you're able to really articulate how you can add value.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much. Always enjoy talking to you.
Sure.
So thank you for spending a little bit of time with me and answering some of my questions.
My pleasure.
And,
yes.
You're inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
I think the fact that you went from HR to cybersecurity and that you've opened that door, right? And just say, hey, you can come from anywhere.
Yes.
Right? Cybersecurity needs you.
Yes.
That's a very inspirational story.
I think we just have to be open as organizations into that space because, as I mentioned at the start, it's going to take a lot of creative thinking and thinking very differently about these issues. That's going to help organizations move this information security agenda forward.
So I'm joined by Linda Moss, Vice President of Global Education at Palo Alto Networks. Thank you for joining us, Linda.
Pleasure, Mitch.
First thing that people are going to notice about you is you don't sound like the exact same accent I have. So can you tell us a little bit about where you're from and what brought you to your current position at Palo Alto Networks?
So I'm originally from the UK. I call myself a child of the world, so I've had the pleasure to work in the UK, 10 years in Germany, a year in Turkey, and 20 years now in the US. Wow. So I came to the US as my husband moved here. He's been in the military and involved in tech and coming to Silicon Valley. My first foray was to join a tech company here, and I've stayed in tech, albeit a few other companies, since that. So it's been great. It's been a great 20 years it's coming up to.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So you said you're Vice President of Global Enablement. What is that, and what should we understand about it?
Good. It's an unusual title, I guess, because it's not something that happens in all organizations. But essentially, Global Enablement, we're the training arm, I like to say, of Palo Alto Networks. So responsible for training all our employees that work with our technology. So selling it, installing it, implementing, running it. So that includes, as I said, our employees, but also our partners that do that same job for us worldwide. For me, most importantly, we train our customers who have purchased our solutions, how they can optimize and really get to grips with what they bought from us. And then I've got to be honest, a favorite part of my job is thinking about the next generation employee, partner and customer, and feeding that pipeline of new talent. So we have a program that we work with veterans and colleges, universities, and now even high schools worldwide, getting our curriculum, Palo Alto Networks skills and knowledge into those vectors as well. So it's a fabulous role.
That's really great. So not just pre-sales and the established kind of workforce, but bringing more people into tech and specifically cybersecurity.
Absolutely. We've got to start early, right? And I think we have realized over the past few years, cybersecurity impacts every aspect of our day-to-day life. And it's never too early to start. One of the initiatives we have at Palo Alto Networks at the moment is working on a Kids in Cyber program that we can implement, go into, schools as early as kindergarten and start talking about protecting your identity, about passwords. It's never too early to start.
It's like stranger danger for the internet.
There you go.
Nice. Now,
what do you feel is one of the greater strengths that women can bring to tech or to cybersecurity?
I think, I'll talk about women in a moment. I just think just having diversity in any role is good. We're looking at that, thinking much more about inclusion and diversity at Palo Alto Networks at the moment, because the data shows that diversity brings better results, more creativity, more innovation. And I think very much because we can sometimes bring different skills to the table. That helps here, right, in the diversity and embedded teams and outputs. When I think of, what women do bring, and again, sometimes I think when we have these conversations, it becomes a little stereotypical. Yeah. But, there's certain aspects of, there's the analytical aspects, the methodical aspects, very process-driven. If I think of myself, I am very process-driven. Is that a female thing or is it a Linda thing? I don't really know, but I do see it in a lot more women. Yeah. That kind of approach. Empathy, again, is a great skill, right? And if I think of cybersecurity, I think of all the jobs in cybersecurity, working with customers, support roles, those kind of things. Having empathy, the ability to methodically analyze, those are the kind of things that I think, top of my head would be, make a difference. And we've got to start early, a little bit like we said, our knowledge on cybersecurity, right? We've got to start them early and make that part of everybody's DNA. The same thing when it comes to looking at diversity and more women in our industry. And it's been thrilling to watch the rollout of the cybersecurity badges at the Girl Scouts of America initiative. I'm so proud that Palo Alto Networks was part of that. And again, it's starting them early and really getting young girls excited about cyber and what's involved, and building those muscles from a very early age that then, when it comes to them getting into the workforce, I would like to think that's both contributing to changing that percentage that we talked about and making that a lot higher than it has been in recent years. I completely agree.
So, gentlemen, if you're watching, get your wives, get your daughters interested in technology. STEM is a big focus now, and Palo Alto Networks is contributing with our Girl Scouts program to get young women interested in cybersecurity, because that's an adjacent, or technology, right? It's part of that. And one thing that, a current event, there was that 14-year-old boy who figured out that big bug in Apple's FaceTime. That's right. Yeah. And he's super young, but he uses the product. Well, chances are you have children who also use iPhones and Androids. Just start asking them, how could this be misused? Yeah. What is the potential for doing something outside of the way it was designed to do? And kids are very free thinkers in that way. And I think we need to be encouraging that kind of thought process. I mean, it's one thing to get into dresses and tea parties, and that's fun. But not every girl may have all those same interests.
Right, absolutely.
So don't force it. Become, a technology advocate like Linda is. She's fantastic, and I look up to you so much. So, well, thank you so much, Linda, for joining us.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, we hope to have you on again soon.
Absolutely.